Right. Um, I um, I really wouldn't like to do this particular video, but but I feel that I have to, since I didn't do anything since I didn't do anything last year, and again there was nothing to do. I mean, pretty much everything important has been said, and during the last 4 years, the greatest possible personal tragedy, the greatest possible that could have happened to me. We are all different, but the greatest tragedy that could have happened to me personally has unfolded, and I really would not have the energy. But again, I haven't done a video in I think in 2 years, and I guess it's appropriate to say something. And yeah, I guess well, one has to comment about the insanity, the utter insanity that again I have to use the word unfolded. The mankind has again my opinion of the future of mankind has not been very sunny, but it has in so many ways devolved even faster than even I could have imagined. So I guess some commenting is in order. And again, I still can. It's very interesting. It's very funny to think of something like, when I did my first video, I said I didn't want to be on YouTube, and it was quite true. A long time ago, my very first video, I tried to study to be an IT engineer, so that I could have quite simply, built my own environment where to do my commentary, again, to no one, to just into the ether, just to ease my own soul. But I had no talent for it. I tried. I had no talent for it, so I had to use another platform, and or someone else's platform, so to speak. And what a disaster YouTube, as well as Facebook or anything else, has turned into. But again, I still can. I presume. I'm pretty sure. Again, I remember I actually only last year I found out, when I was watching some of a video of tick history, and again, if you want to know about what really happened in World War III, you know, what it was, World War II. Freudian slip there. World War II, I mean, he's the guy to go to, and actually actually his idea about, you know, some aspects of economy are quite correct. For example, what is private and what is public. Then the rest of his, you know, economy is crap, and when it comes to, you know, everything except oil, what he says about economy, you know, the German oil shortage, which indeed was the most critical aspect of the whole, you know, of whole World War II, and of course Hitler's autarky. But, you know, after that, you know, when he goes to modern economy, and when he, you know, starts bashing Keynes and so on, you know, full of crap. So you can be so right in most things, and then totally wrong in others, and there's nothing wrong with that. That's yeah, that's how we are. But you know, as far as World War II is concerned, he's absolutely invaluable. I was watching one of his videos. I can't remember which one, but he said, you know, that he can't say the S word. Yeah, I've been I myself I've been you know, I've been with YouTube, so to speak, since its inception, and may I also at this point out that I find it absolutely insane that you have a YouTube economy, that you have people who make their living, you know, from YouTube or anything, you know, when Facebook went down last year at some point, you know, that businesses were ruined and so on. I find that absolutely insane. That you have such a thing as a YouTube economy, that people actually make their living making YouTube videos, no matter what the quality is. It's just insanity. You should use your life much better. I'm sorry. You've missed something. But anyway, you know, I've been with YouTube since its inception, and I had no idea that there was that you couldn't say the S word, that there was something like that. So I guess, you know, there is some censorship in Europe, but not in any way like in the United States. And again, it's funny to think how small, you know, again, YouTube is humongous. People make their livings out of it, and yet most people in the world don't even see it. And I think it's very interesting. I think so many YouTubers think of themselves as important when they're actually not. YouTube is not important. Actually, that would be Sir Humphrey in yes, Minister. Actually, but when it comes to the world of YouTube, I mean, the censorship in the United States is something absolutely astounding. I mean, it's funny. Most people don't know about YouTube, most people in the world. And most people then, even with you, who may know YouTube, I guess don't know about the censorship. It's very interesting to know, and I have no idea how I know. I have no idea how I know anything. I'm not important. I'm not smart. I'm not a mover. I'm not a, you know, I'm such a beyond an average bloke. I have no idea how I know stuff and other people don't. For example, in Finland, where they should have had the opportunity to know something, it's absolutely mind-boggling. But anyway, I don't know how to describe the fact that the growth of Jimmy Dore's channel or Kyle Kulinski's channel has completely stopped, and Status Quo cannot get off the ground, and Last American Vagabond again, not everything. What's his name? I can't remember his name. I'm so sorry. The Last American Vagabond, he may have gone too far on several occasions, but his principles and his main idea was correct, and I think he's nowhere to be found in YouTube. And quite obviously in the United States, yes, the algorithm is totally suddenly favoring mainstream media again, which is utter lies, complete crap. It's very interesting to think that I was watching the US mainstream media when I started, for example, this channel, and it's very interesting. I've kept all the old videos up, even though I'm so conscious of not. I would like to try and save the environment. That's why I don't make much videos, and I've taken down from my Finnish channel. I've taken down all videos, and so that I would not be, that I would not take the space. That my videos would not take the space and would not, through. I don't know. I can't remember now what they are in English. Link stations would not be burdening the environment. But I've had to keep my old international videos just as a reminder how far I've come from actually during the 2016 presidential campaign. I remember that I was utterly shocked that MSNBC was not honest. But anyway, the internet dystopia and YouTube dystopia is an actual thing in the United States, but it does not seem to be or to that degree in Europe. I haven't witnessed it in Europe again, of course, if there are S words or something that us Europeans, even we can't use, okay. But you know, I haven't, it hasn't popped up before this. But again, I'm pretty sure that they would have throttled Dr. John Campbell in the United States. There's no way that he would have been allowed to survive. And for example, my own feed, because again I follow YouTube a lot. No one, you know, my subscription of any channel, including Jimmy Dawes, has not at any point been cancelled for me, and it was only last year that I wasn't recommended the kinds of videos that I might want to watch. And again, I'm actually, I can't say how flattered I am, how well I find stuff in YouTube. I'll be forever proud that I had been watching Dr. John Campbell's channel for months before Jimmy Dore found him. Found out that he exists. I'm very proud. But you know, only last year did YouTube start pushing CNN or Fox Bloody News on me. But still not much. You know, I just click. Not interested, dear boy. Not interested. So I guess there has been some changes, but I haven't noticed. And it's interesting. Again, it's like, are the Europeans still not deep enough in, I don't know, in the matrix, do they still have some, you know, more feeling for basic concepts of right and wrong, so that, and this actually includes even some of the political class, that Europe does not yet have the culture of utter lying and cheating that the United States has, so that the censorship cannot yet be done quite as flagrantly as it is done in the United States. I don't know, but it would seem so. Anyway, well, I don't know. That's one of the reasons why I'm doing this video, even though I really would not have the energy. Because it may be that even I, who again no one knows and no one sees this, and I'm pretty sure that protects me, that I could say anything here, even if there was censorship in Europe as well, and it wouldn't matter, because again, you know, since I don't have any viewers, I don't think any censorship that would be interested in me. But I have no idea. When I go and upload this, what does YouTube say? I don't know. I haven't been actually trying to upload anything for 2 years. I mean, what are the rules at the moment? How nuts is it? Because again, from my point of view, YouTube, it's been downhill, from the time that Google bought it. Utter and absolute downhill. So how down is it? Is this going to be my last video? Because I simply cannot take YouTube anymore. Again, I'm not a content creator because no one is seeing this. It would be ridiculous to take any sort of a title except ordinary bloke. But there was one thing that needed to be said. That utter censorship is here, and it is in the United States. It's dystopian. So again, just out into the ether, I know it. So that, I guess, was the first one, and I guess it first point, and I guess it links to one future, one further topic coming up later. But next, I want to comment on, again, my channel. The history of my channel is pretty much, again, it's a history of ordinary bloke actually finding out, just wanting to find out what the hell is happening in this world and what's wrong with it, and slowly finding out. And the one of the realizations was, originally I thought, try to follow the happenings of the world in general, and thinking of countries somewhat equal to each other, and and the world as a bigger place, and slowly one learned that it was all about the United States and nothing else. The United States moves the world, at least the Western world, and the consciousness and minds and lives, and of course then through continuation of diplomacy by other means, controls even those parts of the world that it couldn't through oh, come on, how can I through manufacturing consent. That would be a nice way of putting it. So it's all about the United States, and everything has to happen, something major has to happen in the United States for the rest of us to have any chance whatsoever. So that takes me to the other point, after, of course, pointing out the obvious, that nothing has happened. It's nice to be right nowadays. In the beginning, when I didn't know anything, I wasn't right. Now I was. Again, I think I am back there, 2020 or something, saying, exactly who Biden is and what a disaster it's going to be. I am very happy that I was there to say, in 2016, that it didn't matter whether you elected Trump or Hillary. it was going to be a disaster, and that, you know, any reasonable person in the United States would have voted for Dr. Jill Stein after the Democratic nomination was cheated from Bernie Sanders, who, of course, Bernie Sanders should have been the Democratic nominee. But anyway, and later on we get to other things that I'm very glad that I already know and have been able to be right about. But knowledge is power. Since the United States moves the world, one has to comment not just the utter disaster that the Biden presidency, as was easily to be predicted, has been a horror show. The implosion of the American left. And again, I would like to say United States left, because America is bigger than the bloody United States of America. So let's again say United Stasian left. I mean, it has been, together with the third topic I'm gonna discuss, and which is just as important as all the others, but among that, with that, it has been the utter implosion of the United Stasian left has been a dreadful wonder to behold. That one could not have, in any ways, not living there, never wanting to live there, not being a United Stasian, not being a very clever United Stasian. I have no idea whether someone like Chris Hedges might have actually, you know, should he be that inclined? Somebody had to ask him, and he would have been interested. So, could he, with his knowledge, have for example, have predicted it? I don't know. But no way for someone like me. I mean, it's been a complete surprise, the total and utter devolvement of the US left. Again, I said it back then, 2016, that the fact that Bernie Sanders did not become the president of the United States, POTUS, was the final nail on the coffin of mankind, and now one is just watching the show and you know, as an observer and wondering, will it be all the disasters together, or just one of them that is going to finish us off as a civilization, but most likely as a species. And it is interesting to think. I hope I've referenced this before, but in a sense, there are echoes of Henry Wallace. If they hadn't cheated Wallace in the actually, I can't even remember anymore. I think it was 1930s. If Henry Wallace would have been the vice president, you know, again, and not Truman. And and then president. If Henry Wallace would have been the president of the United States, the world probably would have been saved already then. World would be a completely different place. So that's the first one. That when it comes to the United States and leftist candidates, that's the first one that always has to be pointed out, because it's such a shame. You wouldn't have had any of the crap that we've had for the last 100 years or so in the world. And again, so after 2016, there really wasn't real hope anymore. But 2020 and what has happened after that, again in the country that moves the world, again, even I could not have imagined anything quite so totally devastating. And that brings me I know I'm gonna have the title of this video. That brings me to age. I said it 2016, that I said it immediately when it was clear that he had been cheated, that Sanders should have run third party, and he would have won if he would have gone to the Greens. He would have won, and the world would have been saved. As a younger man, he had been very much for third parties. He was right on the edge at that point, 2016. Again, as I've said before, it would not have been as much Sanders. Very much Sanders, meaning that he had a conscience. He would have been a very good president. But the people he would have brought with him 2016 to the US government, to the all the other posts in the government, would actually have been good people, and they would actually have made a greater difference than anyone can imagine. And there was not so much left of Sanders in 2020. In hindsight, so to speak. You can't say he had been corrupted. One can say that he had been, swindled, coerced. It wasn't the same Sanders anymore. And that brings me to age. It's very interesting. Younger Sanders would have reacted differently in 2016. And again, in hindsight, I can see the age, those 4 precious years between the Sanders of 2016 and Sanders of 2020. And 2020 was indeed too late. Again, of course, it should have been him again as president, but he would not have been as good as he would have been in 2016. Of course, in 1995 he would have been even better. So that's the sad. That's probably the main thing I want to lament on this video is age, how destructive it is. As an actor, for example, it usually makes you better. Then, of course, we all know that physically it does not make you better. It makes you die eventually. But I certainly hope so. Every day I am afraid that they come up with some sort of cheat to make the world elite live forever. Terrible thought. But for example, with film directors, I mean, film being originally being my first love, I've always known it with film directors that at some point they get too old. Absolutely everyone, starting with Hitchcock, totally lost their touch when they reached a certain age. Utterly. But that it is that it can even ruin even the best mind and the best soul without, you know, something obvious like Alzheimer's or severe senility. That it actually that age is so merciless, and that it happens all the time and year after year. I'm just waiting when my own flexibility and imagination and best passion goes away. Dreadful thing. But it is just something I want to think about, because again, for example, Noam Chomsky, of course, he has completely lost his mind. Nowadays, if he is right on something, it is something. It's in repeat. It is something that he repeats, that he has said, all his life. But nothing that he comes up at the moment, is correct. I mean, he's just perpetually wrong. And one has to agree with Max Blumenthal. I mean, just retire. Of course, I mean, he contradicts himself. One has to point out this. I think it was it in the Vanguard or somewhere, where he was commenting on force the vote. And again, since we are here, one has to comment on force the vote. Of course it was the right idea. He actually makes a point, Chomsky actually makes a point that he's been making his entire life, which clearly speaks for force the vote, and then speaks against force the vote and people who were trying to force the vote. You really do not, as an intellectual, you don't get more senile than that. That is intellectual death on, live on air, so to speak. And now, who's going to replace him? I can't see anyone. Now then, after his, mental devolvement, lots of lefties have commented on how he was not correct on this and this, even when he was younger. But he was right on most things, and again his commentary and his reaction, his mental energy, it was something that the left needed, and is gone. Age. What a terrible thing. And I say it at this point, truly, who is just not going to replace Chomsky, but everybody else is, again, who is going to evolve to what these old people were? Who, you know, that you see in the academic world or political commenting, who is going to be that smart and effective as all these people who have obviously now gotten too old? I don't know. And again, when they're well past middle age, you know, again, people like Chris Hedges, for example, it's horrible to think that Chris Hedges, Paul Jay, so many others, that they're going to be useless in 20 years or so, if mankind is gonna, again, I'm betting that mankind is not going to survive for 20 years, but let's see. But it's a horrible thought that there is no one really to replace them, because all the younger ones, they're right. Oh, Glenn Greenwald. Who is ever going to replace Glenn Greenwald when his mind goes someday? And of course, there are a lot of people who can't. I don't think. Again, I think Assange. I'm pretty sure I don't know whether he can mentally ever return from what has been already done to him. And somebody like Edward Snowden, I mean, he has, again, he does not have all the platforms needed, and he's been vilified from the start, so not everyone knows about him. I think Yanis Varoufakis, I think he must be. I'm sorry if I get this wrong, but I think he must be over 50 by now. Again, who is going to replace him in Europe? Who's going to replace Jeremy Corbyn when his mind goes? All the younger ones, they're so aggressive, and they have to be. But I don't know. Can Ben Norton or Max Blumenthal or Abby Martin can, and again should or could, because we are talking about different generations, could they become less aggressive, less I don't know. You just need to appeal to entire general audience. You have to be, again, it's the Jimmy Dore problem. where this classical sentence about around the US left, Jimmy Dore was right. Yes, Jimmy Dore pretty much has been right about absolutely everything. It is his style that does not appeal to everyone, which is very wrong and very bad, because it's the issues that should be, and facts that should determine something, not how someone behaves. But again, how someone behaves does, unfortunately, still matter. And again, can the generation of Blumenthal and Martin and Norton, if they are even given the chance, who knows what, again, since the United States is fascist, no matter who runs it, whether it's Trump or Biden, it gets more fascist by the day. Even if, are they even going to have the chance? And again, I don't hold much hope that mankind is going to survive for the next 20 years. But again, can they somehow generalize their rhetoric so that they can replace all the smart people that are, as I now see and worry, are going to get old? I don't know. But then, two final points about my second point, which was, that I wanted to lament about, which was age, is of course, Jimmy Dore and Kyle Kulinski. During the development of the US left, Kulinski quite correctly pointed out that Jimmy Dore has only one stage, and it's nuclear. I know that it probably, again, that it isn't possible. It's possible that you could not be as right as Jimmy Dore almost invariably is, just like, again, Max Blumenthal is, or Ben Norton is, or Abby Martin is. That you we're all different people, and it is possible that if Jimmy Dore's temperament was different, he could not be so right most of the time. Then of course, again, Chris Hedges' temperament is very different from so many others, and he is pretty much right every time. Although I think he's a religious man, which nobody's perfect. Yes, and I seem to think. Well, anyway, but again, it's just a vain hope, or a philosophical dream. I would have loved Jimmy Dore to be more calm during this time. It would have been, a little less aggressive. I think it might have helped the world of YouTube and left a little. And that again took me to age. Because again, Jimmy Dore, I think he must be over 50. somewhere between 50 and 60, I think. Again, sorry if I'm wrong. Couldn't he have been a little bit more adult in his reactions, and I just, you know, just a little bit calmer because he's older? I don't know. Again, let's make the most of his point. Jimmy Dore was right. Jimmy Dore is right most of the time, no matter what his temperament is. But I, you know, the whole, I think the whole beef with Kyle Kulinski was unfortunate, to put it mildly. I feel that Dore should have seen, again, you know, when you talk about Kyle Kulinski, that guy is young. It's as simple as that. I personally witnessed how, you know, how high his morale is, how in the right place his heart is, and that he is not stupid. I personally watched the video where I think he had been associated with politics, something like, I don't know, how old is his channel? 5 years, 10 years or something? But at that time, I mean, I watched the video where he got into the point that he himself had got to the point where he realized that in Israel, one-state solution is the only solution. He got to that point by himself. Again, as a young guy, that takes a lot. You know, if you don't have help, if you just, you know, shout into the ether, you know, do YouTube commentary all day, every day, that is your life, to get to that point as a, you know, very young bloke, that is impressive. I have to say that it's very interesting. I got to that point in about week or 2 weeks. I remember my video. In one video I said I have to find out, you know, about Israel and Palestine, what's going on, and I still didn't. I remember when I did the video, I thought that there was actual left in Israel, and I didn't know everything. But I got within 2 weeks, I got to the point where I knew that there, you know, one-state solution was the only solution. But I'm an old guy. I can get there. Kulinski is young. And I feel that, you know, when the whole TYT, I don't know what to call it, debacle was going on, I just was disappointed. I think I hope, again, for the left and for the general peace, for example, at that point I would have wished that Jimmy Dore could have seen Kyle Kulinski, you know, as young and ignorant. But again, Dore was, of course, horribly treated, so perhaps you can't at that point. But one just hoped. Again, what Kasparian tried to do, I don't understand. How isn't that illegal? You know, that sort of extortion. I don't understand. And of course, Dore's reaction was quite right. I mean, if he had done anything else except tell everything right out immediately, I mean, it could have totally destroyed him. It was and the devolvement of TYT, that's another thing. Again, I've told on the channel. I was a subscriber at some point. I got a lot of good information from them, at one point. And I mean, I could not watch them at this moment. But again, I haven't for months. Not since Force the Vote. I have no idea what they're doing right now. All I know is that, when one sees clips and of what they say, and then and then videos about about their tweets, because again, I'm not on Twitter and I'll never be there, so I don't know what's happening on Twitter, and don't intend to. And again, it is horrible if the whole world is on Twitter. That's again on WhatsApp and so on Instagram. That's a good indication of exactly how doomed we are. But again, what one hears and sees of TYT, I mean, they've gone to say that they've gone totally off the rails is an understatement. And again, I do not have the mental capacity to I can't tell what the heck happened to them. I've listened to what Jordan Chariton has said, and what Max Blumenthal has said, and and other smart people, what their analysis is, and and Jimmy Dawes, of course, that it was always coming, and it was always some, and so on. Perhaps Drumpf just broke their brains as well. I don't know. But let's say that again, that was one of the the utter devolvement of TYT was one of the things that took me totally by surprise. Me personally, I mean, I didn't know it was possible. I really didn't. And I guess that that takes one. I guess, well, that ends this second point. That I had, or was it the first point? Because they're all interconnected. Was implosion of the US left or age, which is point number one? Well, it depends. But anyway, because again, I mean, with the Young Turks, I mean, again, it's always been all about Cenk. He is getting old. Can that have something to do with the development of TYT? But at that point, Kasparian is not that old yet. Ayadola, I think, is not old, although I have no idea what he has been saying for the last 2 years or something. I haven't followed. But again, could age have something to do with what's happened to TYT? I don't know. Anyway, what one can say, that there must be Drumpf derangement syndrome, because again, all of these people, the rational national becoming very irrational, the Humanist Report, all the people that have, oh God, and whatever Sam Cedars program is, and originally I thought that Emma Vigeland might be a great figure in the future of I don't know, the left and US media and so on, or new media. One has to deduce that Drumpf derangement syndrome, and again, these are so United Stasian concepts, but breaking someone's brain. I guess it has to be a thing, even though I couldn't imagine it to be. And again, is that about age? Because these people are young. So is your mind more easily broken when you're young? I guess. Again, I guess it is. Anyway, whatever it is, is it just that somehow? Because again, Drumpf never bothered me so much. As I said, when he first appeared, I had never seen him before. Again, because I don't watch crappy reality TV. I had never seen the guy before, but before he ran for president. The first time I saw him, I said, that's a con man. And I mean, it's an obvious con man, such a useless excuse for a human being. I mean, why worry? If he becomes president, he's going to be so incompetent that, And again, he could have been malleable. It's very interesting. I think I said it when the Finnish president visited the United States, that please tell Donny Lufaface that if he really wants to be great, and if he really wants to leave his name in history, tell him to ask Bernie Sanders what to do. He might have done it. It's all about him. But anyway, so how can a clown like that break someone's brain? Again, it has to be age. But again, with Cenk Uygur, it can't be age, because he should be older. But then again, his posts when, all those posts when he was younger, and he was a Republican when he was younger, perhaps, perhaps his mind is not as developed as ordinary persons. I don't know. But again, how can somebody as ridiculous as Donny Lufaface Drumpf break your brain? But again, judging from what one can see, I guess he can. Amazing. But anyway, so I'll just conclude this portion of saying that the US left has completely devolved. It's fractured, and I really don't. There is no other. Well, it's actually interesting that Williamson is in a sense that or someone has the idea of replacing Bernie with Williamson. She's a good person, so who knows if she has it in her. One doesn't know, but the problem is that it's all too late. Again, so something significant should have started from the presidential election of 2016. Now it's too late. Whatever happens, in my estimation, it's going to be too late. But anyway, that there wasn't more unity, that there wasn't more common sense, that there wasn't more Well, common sense, I guess, is I guess the best English phrase for. Well, so again, it's very funny. The United States and common sense. Good Lord. Why would anyone expect that? But still, it took one by surprise. How, and again, one grieves for the fact what could have been if Sanders would have been the president. All these people, the left in the United States, would have stayed together even though they don't agree on everything. You don't have to agree on everything. You know, what could have been. But at this point, I mean, you know, one just had to point out that the left has, in the United States, has totally imploded. And since we are all dependent on the United States, what happens in the United States, pretty catastrophic. Anyway, then, of course, my third subject, and my goodness, is this going to be a long video, but again, I hadn't done anything in 2 years, and I don't know whether if I ever do anything again, so let this be then. A long one. Is of course Corona. And I don't know. I have no idea what to say. I think in my last video I told everyone what was going to happen, what it was. And what can I say? I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry that people around the world, especially of course in countries that actually had some human rights and some rights of citizens and right to privacy and, you know, right to what is it again in English when bodily autonomy. What can I say? I'm so sorry that people have of the world have allowed this to be done to them. Again, it was quite obvious from the very start that it was a bioweapon. I said it here, you know, immediately when it appeared. Now I think the general, you know, anyone with any sense has already gotten to the conclusion that it came from the Wuhan lab. Then again, and I'm not certain of the number anymore because I'm not that interested, because this is also elementary. And I'm an ordinary person. I should not need to worry about this crap. But is it something like 144, you know, laboratories that the United States, you know, bioweapons or you know, laboratories that do this sort of crap that the United States either owns or runs. And I remember hearing, you know, originally that they actually had one at that part of Italy where Corona first appeared in Italy. So again, you know, did it escape from Wuhan, or did it escape also from other places? Again, if you have something like 144, they may not all be owned by the United States, you know, but the United States is involved, and they are all doing bad things. It may not only have come from Wuhan, but again, the general, you know, opinion of reasonable people has at this point reached the conclusion that yeah, of course it came from the lab in Wuhan. But that's it. Again, now I said it back then, and I can only repeat. Again, the utter the deplorable state of mankind. All these years, and still no one is talking about, everybody, reasonable people have already gotten to the point that, okay, it came from the Wuhan lab. But what the heck was it doing there? I mean, why would you engineer something like that? To try and explain that that is engineered for some sort of altruistic purpose. For what? I mean, it's an obvious weapon. And this should have been the main conversation, what, 2 years ago, almost 3 years ago. And by this point, we should have an entire, utter ban on, not just the United States, of course, but all the great powers and their, messing with viruses and, their biolabs, their bioweapons and so on. I mean, I don't know whether Omicron is going to be the end of Corona. I myself also, I am hopeful that it is. But again, since it is engineered by humans, there may be surprises still in store. But I think not. But what about the next one? And again, this seems to have been an accident. And as far as one knows, it's quite literally some employees in the Wuhan lab got sick, and and the fact that there was the I don't know what you would call it, the Olympics of all the intelligence services going on there, just a month or something before all this started, that it had nothing to do with, but quite a coincidence. And the I don't know, whatever it was, what is called a net meeting and so on. I really don't care, but whatever it was, the conference or something that they had, the Gates Foundation, and World Health Organization, so where they, just I can't remember, was it months or under a year before all this started, they were actually rehearsing a coronavirus, a pandemic exactly like this, with all these incredible coincidences. It would seem that it was, an accident, that couple of, that some leak, now leak is a disgusting word, happened, inside the laboratory, and a few scientists or, employees got the virus, got sick, and that's how it got out. But again, it could have been intentional. It may not have been intentional this time, but it could be. And the next one may not be quite so kind. Again, as I said early on, this was not yet going, again, because it was a corona virus, and I can't remember what else, but again, there was a lot of information coming before it was all, before mainstream media did its thing. But anyway, it seemed that it was, that it was not that deadly. The next one, what if it quite literally kills 40%, 70%. Okay, and this one, I don't know whether you can or whatever. What is it? I mean, has it been something like 17,000 that Corona alone has killed? Something like 17 or 18,000 in the United Kingdom or England. I don't know, but let's say, you know, that virus kills 17,000 people out of 50 million. That is not deadly. You know, that is a flu. So anyway, again, I said it then, you know, that it would seem to be a flu, and there's nothing wrong with social distancing. There's nothing wrong with mask wearing. There would be nothing wrong with wearing a mask during flu season, and social distancing, you know, during flu season. Why not? We lefties, we've been screaming from the top of our lungs that, you know, again, not in the United States. The United States does not even know what, you know, social democracy is, and, you know, and what it means to have a, you know, some sort of social safety net. But you know, in countries that actually had a working social democracy and working social safety net in the 1980s, not anymore, but in the 1980s, you know, while it's been destroyed by neoliberalism, you know, some of us, we've been screaming from the, you know, from mountaintops that please stop the hemorrhaging, please stop the free movement of capital, please stop that, that, I don't know, the destruction of what is the concept in English, you know, where when wealth is distributed equally. My God, you know, I mean, it's originally an English concept. I'm sorry, I can't remember the damn word right now. But anyway, that please, the governments need the money. Take it away from millionaires, multimillionaires, billionaires, giant corporations, investors, and give it back to the, you know, governments, countries to whom it belongs, so that we can have proper living standards, so that we don't have Nazis. Again, this is such a simple concept. It is absolutely, I have no idea how the European Union could have come to be, how Europeans could be that stupid. But anyway, of course, the you know, risk groups, you know, old people, mad people, people with comorbidities, of course, they should have been safe from the very beginning. Again, us lefties, we've been, you know, shouting about this for 40 years, that governments need more money so that we can have proper, you know, anything, nursing homes, infrastructure, enough healthcare professionals, enough doctors, enough, you know, everything, so that, you know, if something like a pandemic happens, old people, for example, they're you know, they're always safe, because you know, wherever they are, whether they live home with support, or whether they're in an old people's home, the system works so well that they can be immediately isolated, and they can be kept safe. And, you know, and if you get a proper vaccine, again, proper vaccine, oh God, yeah, you know, they can be immediately vaccinated. You know, there's no way anyone can blame a true lefty for for the deaths in, for example, Sweden or Finland. Again, these countries were social democracies. They had a proper social safety net in the 1980s. It's again, some very, very bad, corrupt people who've destroyed these Nordic welfare states. But the Swedish strategy, when Corona started, was the only right one. The only reason it did not work was because neoliberalism had already destroyed the Swedish welfare state, and the people, the risk groups were not protected enough. But otherwise, Sweden had it right. Sweden got it right. As far as I know, it was the only country in the world that got it right, from the beginning. Of course, international pressure, people dying. I don't want to glaze over that point. I take people dying very seriously. I like people. I don't like people as a collection, but I like people as individuals. Every unnecessary death is a tragedy. And again, I said it in my previous videos, I say it again, I am so terribly sorry. My deepest condolences to anyone who has lost anyone to this corona. Or to anything else. My videos are filled with me saying how sorry I am for the people of Middle East or South America. Every useless death, every case of torture, every case of rape, every case of people hurting or being destroyed in any way is not just wrong, it is absolutely unbelievable in the 2000s. The fact that anyone at the moment needs to die before their time, that anyone gets hurt in any way, is a dismal failure of our species. It would not need to be. So anyway, so when I talk about death, please do not think that I would in any way be insensitive to people who have died or who have lost loved ones to corona. And may I point out that again, some of us, long before this, decades, we've been, again, screaming at the top of our lungs that, stop these, giant countries, militaristic countries, and their bioweapon, research and manufacturing. Stop them. Some of us have been the people who said that it was coming, and did not want this to happen. And when it happened, even though, some of us were saying, don't let it happen. Please be informed citizens, democratic citizens, please be informed. Please vote. Please vote. Be informed. Use your knowledge to vote correctly. Again, we cannot be, we who've said that this would happen and urged people to pay a little less attention to themselves and a little bit more of the world as a whole. I cannot see it being morally right, to blame. I cannot take any blame for this disaster. I was warning about this beforehand, everything about this. And unfortunately, I have no idea. I'm completely at a loss at what can possibly come next. Again, I knew that people in general in the world, especially in the Western world, that they were, that consent was manufactured, and they didn't have much knowledge. They didn't have much free will, so to speak. But yet, I did not know that scare tactics of the mainstream media or media in general, that they work so well that for example the people of Finland could be could be whipped into such authoritarianism and giving up all their rights and and not actually and again not doing their own research, not listening to all the scientists, and again not just waiting and seeing that again that the for example the Finns, that they could be whipped into such total panic to give up all their rights and their lives, just by again something like the Finnish media, just copy pasting what international media is saying. Let's say the British or especially the American or then international media corporations that work in many countries. This is just this propaganda material of piles of coffins on the lawn of a Italian hospital, and that again that people, for example in Finland, they had such poor lives that they could not deal with their fear of death or injury, so that they by just giving them right sort of material, by just elementary brainwashing, they could be whipped into this panic. And for example, the Finnish constitution could be so flagrantly violated as it was. And again, I'm pretty sure, in every civilized country in the world, people's rights and the constitutions of all these countries have been totally violated. And of course, you know, the obvious next question is what next? For example, in Finland, again, this virus, you know, corona, COVID-19. I can't remember what it is, 2020 or something. They dared to compare it to a war. And they closed off part of the country. They you know, because it was you know, more or less, it was like, you know, it's a warlike state, you know, and they evoked you know, special laws that were meant for you know, warlike emergencies. And they you know, they again they restricted people's liberties in an unbelievable fashion. And again, they actually closed part of the country, you know, the part where I actually live. They closed it up. Again, a virus that kills, I don't know, I'm pretty sure we're talking about promils of people, and again, with proper social safety net, would not even, again, even a flu would not kill as many people as it does with a proper social safety net. Something that kills, you know, people by the promils is not a warlike state. I'm so sorry. That it's as simple as that. A war is something that kills something like 10 or 20%. And again, a war is what the next against is nobody. It's like climate change. Nobody, again, is not even talking about the right things when it comes, you know, to bioweapons, much less doing anything about it. The next one is gonna be like a war. The next one is gonna be 20% people dead, 40% of people dead, 70% of people dead, just if we don't be destroyed by something else before that. But again, this was not a warlike state. To restrict people's freedom in any way, even tiny fraction of a way, because of COVID-19 was totally uncalled for, totally against any constitution I am aware of, any international agreement on human rights and, you know, rights of the individual. This has been, again, as an outsider, total outsider, because again, there's nothing, I have nothing to worry about. Never had anything to worry about. As a total outsider, as a genuinely free person, and mind, independent person, it has been, and again, somebody who is not, you cannot manufacture my consent. You cannot brainwash me. You cannot unduly influence me. Now it would be ridiculous if I could not be influenced by, you know, good people and good opinion and friends and family and so on. Of course, that would be, I don't know, well, some sort of sociopathy. But again, unduly influence me. Again, and I'm not a genius. I'm just free. What has been happening to the world for the last, you know, the mass psychosis uh, for the last 2 years, it has been, again, it's been just surprising. It's been how quick, if you're predicting the end of civilization and end of the world, this is a faster pace than one can, even with great imagination, can imagine. But again, I've had a great personal tragedy in my life, so I guess I haven't had I haven't needed to follow this craziness so much. And for example, the Finnish news, I haven't followed Finnish news for, I don't know, for these 2 years. I have no idea. What crap they're, shoveling to people. I cannot imagine what the Finnish politicians are thinking. Whatever, one hears from friends and workmates and so on, and, what has been said. One is amazed at, level of insanity. And of course all the restrictions and so on, that are applied. I mean, they are from a lunatic asylum. But as what I was going to say earlier, what comes next? Again, if people can be whipped to the, again, never. Firstly, of course, it's exactly the same thing as it is with all these special laws and these restrictions and all. If you give a government the chance, or the elite, because again, our governments are not really functioning. We are living in an oligarchy, so we don't really have government. Let's say special interests and secret services and and powerful elites. If you give them tools of control, they're never gonna give them back to the people. In the same way, if well, let's just say that this is a possibility to so bogusly whip people into this sort of feverish panic that this could be done, that again that people could be controlled this way, that this ultimate manufacturing of consent, that this was what now they know that it can be done. So what are they going to come up with next? There are instances, from, I think it's, again, I think this is, again, Chomsky, when he was still young. I think it comes, the idea comes from, it's him or some other very, very, very clever dude. But it started in the before, during the First World War, so that the United States were persuaded into World War One. That's when, mind control, manufacturing consent started. That, again, it has just been improved decade after decade after decade. And again, if people were, it was possible to make people this easily to give up their rights and their senses, their common sense again, what is again, over 100 years, there have been people who've been doing this for a living. They're looking for psychological opening, means of, different ways of manufacturing consent. These people, they've been paying a lot of attention to what it's been possible to do to the world with this. I'm so sorry to say this. Fake pandemic panic. And they're what they are going to do with the information that they've gathered from mass psychology and again what individual governments, since again there really are not social welfare states left. I have no idea. I think I have no idea how well things are in Iceland or Switzerland or New Zealand. But again, in Nordic, in Sweden, Finland, Denmark, things are not well enough. I don't know. Are they in Norway? I don't know. Are there real welfare states left in the world? I don't know. But anyway, lack of social welfare leads to extreme right-wing governments. And again, with these sort of powers, what will the right-wing governments that are coming, I fear in Finland as well, what they are going to do with these new tools of control that they've been given, these new possibilities. It's a worry. But anyway, this has been a very, very long video. But thank goodness no one is watching, so it doesn't matter. Is there, again, development of the US left, age, the insanity of the mass psychosis of Corona? I think those are the things that I wanted to talk about, even though I've already given my opinion a long time ago about the future of non-future of mankind, and there really isn't much to say, because it's just that's it. But then since it was my custom, I at the end I can also comment that I don't know, I have no idea whether we're going to have World War III. Because it's always an interesting question. At the moment, again, there are the idea of a Nazi lunatic in Kiev doing something with weapons that he should not have. That is, as far as I know, that's a real threat. As simple as that. I would not be worried about Taiwan. I would not. It's the only thing one worries about is everything is possible, but the real, genuine worry is Kiev. Let's see. It is possible, and let us hope not. So anyway, let us hope not. Let one hope, when I go and upload this, that it seems that I can still function in YouTube, and that I might actually do a video again once someday. But like next year, like 2023. Let's see. As a nice movie site, Avliman says, good luck out there, fellow people of Earth who are not watching this, but it's the thought that counts. And let's see if there's a next year to make a video.